Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yo, that's so angry, guys.
Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
We
morning.
are DC TV on Friday. We always have a special guests, and in today's show, we have two special guests. But I want to remind everyone why we are here. DC TV was born through community. It's built for the community, and our goal is to get everyone involved in crypto and understand it and how we can build a better world for us and our children in the future.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, especially today. Today is what is today? September 23rd, Friday, 2022. And a lot of times I find that when we're looking at charts and whatnot, is there a difference between cryptocurrency charts, charts with the NASDAQ, charts with S&P 500? You have all these different businessy Wall Street looking things. Is there a difference there? And we do have one of our trading geniuses, big brains, giga brains, Mr. Zone Man himself, Don Fran, is with us today. And I'm super excited about this, Jaime, because Jaime is a great trader as well. And I love bouncing Don Fran's ideas, Jaime's ideas. Where do they agree? Maybe where do they disagree a little bit? But I personally want to learn a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I look at all these completed charts and I'm like, man, okay, I've understood what a candlestick is. I know what a wick is. I know what a zone is. I don't know how to do any of this, but I'm starting to figure it out. So Don and his gig brain was like, let's start from zero, right? Let's start from zero. And I can't wait for you to tell us, can you do this with any stock? Can you do this with any crypto? Does it matter? Is there a difference? So take us, man. Show
Absolutely.
us what to do.
And before you jump on that, just so you see, the community is actually fully involved. Like Philip is saying, trading these days suck. And then you come in with Lord Fenrir saying, trading these are awesome. And then, of course, Don saying trading is awesome, and not because he's a trader. So it's great to see our community involved. Like you see different perspectives. And we love the fact that you're bringing us back down to basics, Don Fran. So you have the floor, sir.
Tampa, you're actually already almost there. Most people know what a candle is, right? Like the open, the close, and the wick is the high and the low.
Sure.
But they never just go that one step further. If you just think those are my buyers and those are my sellers, because you say, are they all the same? Yes and no. So this is actually why, if you guys ever watch me trade, you're in my group. It's the same stuff over and over again because I know who my people are. Like you get to know who the buyers and sellers are in that group because that's all this is like a CVS receipt, about the same length. It's just all the transactions that took place because a transaction had to take place for a candle to even show up. So like when you're looking at these, all it shows is the amount of buyers and sellers, the lack thereof, their idea of where they think resistance is, where they think they should sell, where they think a good deal is, and the overall opinion, the bigger opinion wins. If there's 51 buyers and 50 sellers, it moves up. More buyers it goes up, more sellers it goes down, and you're almost there because the only difference is, and what I'll focus on a lot is who are your buyers, because I can tell you right now. You want me to break down Atom? What is it, Cosmos?
Yep.
This one's crap. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
As far as the chart goes, when we get to the bottom time frames.
Brilliant, though. I'm glad you said this. Okay. And this is why, because they have a massive, Cosmos has a massive, convention in Brazil on the 26th. So we're right around the corner. In a couple days, it starts. They are announcing in that conference the Atom 2.0 tokenomics, basically the new version 2 Atom. And it's really how the burn is going to be very different. Also how they're planning on navigating a stable coin in these new times as well, how it's going to be collateralized, how everything in the Cosmos system is now supposed to be collateralized through Atom. So I wanted you to do this one, not only to see where we are, but to see where after about a week or so, this news gets not only confirmed, but saturated in the community, how it's likely going to bounce and bounce hard.
But if you feel this, there's not enough data to do a demo with, because right
Yeah.
now your objective is to show us the
Mhm.
charting.
Yeah, if we
from
need to do a
clean
different one,
chart.
let's do it.
Choose anything you want.
No, charts are charts. Like
Exactly.
that's the thing
Right.
is the cool thing. It's why I'll probably never write a book. Is a book will tell you that picture perfect image, and then there's the reality of it. Like you're going to come across this, and so that's why I'm on the weekly time frame right now, which makes things a little bit clearer.
So how did you even get here? Like what website are you on, and how did you get all these red and green bars up?
So this is TradingView, tradingview.com.
Okay.
There's paid versions, there's free versions. The reason I follow these individual futures that you guys see all drawn up, millions of colors, lots of them. By the way, that's gonna break. Just so everyone knows. We're going to the purple just so there's no panic. But so this is SPX 500 USD. If you actually look at that, that's the contracts for difference overseas. What this does give you is the live candle action. So even though I pay for it, some people don't. The reason I do this is so that literally everyone can follow along. If you have an internet connection, which I assume you do because you're watching this, you can go to tradingview.com, type in that ticker, and you're watching the futures contracts, the price action of them for the S&P 500.
Excellent. Excellent.
So if it's, go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to tell us how this correlates to the chart that you had brought up, a brand new clean chart with no lines.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
So this is what the clean chart ends up looking like after we do our own analysis, guys. So we end up with different colors everywhere. But I agree with you on that big blue bar, sir. 100%.
Yeah, it's coming down.
Yes,
I can't wait because this got me off track a little bit. That was an impressive bear rally run. What do they call that stupid thing?
Yeah, bear rally. Face melting bear rallies, or what they call
There's rip your face off rally, but there's the just a bear market rally. That sounded wrong for some reason.
Yes. And by the
anyway.
way, for the anyone, a bear rally is the market is in a bear condition. It's in a downtrend, and a bear rally usually rallies the price of the whatever we're looking at to that downward line that Don drew. And that's how we get confirmation. Is it a bear rally or is it not?
Got it.
I'll leave it at that. I'll step back. Don?
Yeah.
It's you.
Just a counter trend rally. Some buyers showed up. So again, it's who are your buyers and sellers. And once you guys know the avenues they do, because like if someone's short the market, they sold to open, they have to buy to close, which is buy side activity. You got people like me that just watch it, which I jump in the buyer crew. And so Jaime, you see people like Jaime, there's a line there. So he's drawn because of that. And I word it that way because there's so many lines you can draw on a chart. And someone's going to buy off that line because they believe that indicator works. That's what they were taught in a course. That's what they just found to believe one time. It worked one time, so they were right. Like, you got some guy that he's got a line because, the Zimbabwe dollar and a full moon line up or something. Not a lot of buyers on that one probably, but he's certainly a buyer. So like the more popular indicators, I don't want to say sometimes they work, but your pool of buyers are there. And that's what's more important is the buyers versus sellers, because most people actually believe in a rally like this, there's a lot of buyers. When in fact, there's just not at all. There's actually very much a lack of sellers, which pushes it up like that. Anytime you run into this, that's the opposing force. Somebody thought that was a resistance. This is a low volume run. There was a lack of sellers to get in the way. And just like electricity, it will run an infinite until it finds resistance. If any electricians have ever done that, they've watched wires glow orange in like a matter of 1 second, melt everything off. Yes. But so what I look for when I draw these zones is that area of attention, because we can say right here. So we were selling off. Everyone had no problem selling this. Someone right here thought it was a buy because the buyer started to show up. In fact, you see buyers started to show up here because there was that wick. Sell side still too strong, came back in. Buyers are still right here. So I'm going to end up drawing over this candle bodies right here. But we know buyers came in right here. They were holding it down right here. As soon as we got anything below this, sorry, hang on. What is going on? There we go. How many lines that draw there? They said, give me all of them you got. I'll take all of it. Sends it back up. no one's at the party anymore. Now there's 0 buyers, so we continue on the flush. So as soon as there's more sellers than buyers, we continue down. But there's that opposing force. So that's Jaime with a line. There's another guy with a rainbow chart. All the colors aligned. You know, Captain Planet was right there. The Fibonacci people, everyone who was buying, they're buying right there for their excuses. I actually don't care why. Like if you think the Tooth Fairy bought it, that is fantastic. As long as it lines up with this, I'll buy it. So that's why I also don't care too much about news, because that's how they create that liquidity. Look at the game of tug of war that was played right here. Sellers and buyers. They really tried to play it. Traditional supply and demand, if you guys are going to YouTube that, they would have their zone probably similar to this. They would take that bottom candle and they would grab all of that. You won't see my zones there because I like to just get in off the radar, you know, in the game of tug of war, and I'll use these wicks for risk management. So if I was going to buy it, I would go into this zone coming in hot right in here. After that wick, I would buy somewhere right inside here. My stop loss would be below the wick. And then my realistic take profit would actually be somewhere right there, which you can see, you know, wouldn't have panned out. There's management in between when it comes into these zones, because once it gets out of there, I put my stop in the green so I can take that risk off the table and then let it run. As long as it's on the gain train, so am I. Then that would have tagged out and then probably gone short.
Okay. For a second, I'm just going to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
So did you grab that sideways action where you grabbed and made your 2 horizontal yellow lines?
Mm-hmm.
Did you grab that because that was the last, I guess, rally or high sideways price action compared to where we are now? Or why did you start exactly where you started versus at the end of the chart as you know it in the little, the 2 little red boxes? Or why'd we back up where we backed up? Right.
So if you want to find resistance, that overhead supply, there's a bunch of fancy words for it. Go up and to the left.
Okay.
And then if you want to find that support, go down and to the left. That's your most immediate. Just up and over. And this is actually a popular question, is how far back do you go? If it's on the chart, I'll look at it. If it's 5 years ago, you got to take that with a grain of salt, though. Actually, Ford was a great one. So these faded out zones right here, we're on the weekly. The last time we were there, so this is where I drew those zones. Here's that's actually a bear flag, because as we were selling off, found some buyers, ended up just buyers ran out and melted down. But look at that. That was 2001. So I drew these zones, but I made them super faded because, take that with a grain of salt, a lot of things have happened in 20 years. But someone was still watching that level. Who cares what their reason is? We ran right to that, found those same sellers, sold right back off.
Wow.
And we can argue about the why till you're blue in the face. The truth is, no one will ever know the why. We could speculate, hey, I think it's because of this. Algo said this. Someone traded that. But we would just never know, because this is again the collective of everyone's opinion on where it goes up or down. Because the one thing we all have in common is we're literally all looking at the same chart, and we can sit there and look at this and argue about it. It's subjective, almost like art. Like, what do you think about this? Someone in the chat is going to say it's bullish. Someone in the chat's going to say bearish. You know, like what was it? Yeah, you know, like Tamp. That's a great example. She thinks it's going to stay above 12, and I'm gonna look at it and be like, no, you're kidding me. And, you know, and obviously I'm right, but
this is a trader versus a fundamentalist. So this is where this bet is going to eventually. That's what it's going to boil down to.
And by the way, for the green beans, anyone entering this, what you're looking at is people's thoughts plotted on a chart. Yeah. This is their beliefs in there, and you can see by them pulling the trigger where the price action went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when I first came on these streams, Tamp had said this bear market feels different.
Yes,
and that was one thing that was alarming to me, because I just watch these charts. I know buyers, I know sellers, and their selling kind of sells off kind of like the rest of them. Oh, now I'm watching big money. That's where my strength comes in. Everything I watch has big money in there, which when I said Adam sucks, it doesn't look like big money's in Adam at all.
Not compared to Bitcoin or Ford.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, honestly, you'll find the easiest ones, because Now AMC people are quick to say the market's rigged, but it's just there's certain things you can do when you have money. It's not rigged. Everyone's allowed to do it. It's not breaking any rules. Just because you're broke and only have a $200 account and you can't move the market doesn't mean it's rigged. So
Look, can I stop you right there and ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you're trading, do you look at the team behind the name on the coin or the ticker that you're trading? Do you look at the fundamentals of what it is outside of maybe just what industry it is in? I'm sure you look at, well, I'm going to look at oil, or I'm going to look at auto, or I'm going to look at whatever, but do you look at the team? Do you dive into the actual product, and does that sway how you view the chart?
No.
So if you're looking at something that maybe looks okay but has a crappy team behind it, you're not going to take that into consideration, versus like Adam's team and use case. Like I think they're still babies in this game, and they're major players, major team, huge brains. So that's why I asked you to look at this chart. Like, do you take any of that into consideration, or is it purely buying and selling?
Purely buying and selling. Okay. Because if that big team's going to show their name, they're going to be so awesome, it's going to show up in the charts.
Gotcha.
So people are already making those choices for you.
Sure.
Unless you come with me with insider information, it's probably already in the charts. Why would you know something that someone else doesn't? And when money's involved, this is a safe way to put this too, because when big money is involved, they know more. And there is underhand, like there's back end deals, under the table handshakes. Like there's no way you can convince me someone doesn't know what Powell's about to say or what earnings is about to say, like guidance, and the money's not already in there.
Right. Okay.
And so what you're saying could be in people on the inside here in Adam, for example, that understand what's being developed, and that's what triggered these buys at those stages.
Excellent.
But then you see this other side, which is aligned with the general market conditions in terms of what's different, like you said, of the bear market.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So let's just say that not Tamp. Those guys are right, and it's going to be huge. Fundamentally speaking, that's what it should look like.
Okay.
By that time, I will have seen the buyer show up. We've cracked above this. There's going to be a zone right inside here that people typically miss, or maybe not, because they'll probably call that a support and resistance. So we're probably well on the bullish run before anyone finds out, or before everyone starts talking about it and gets on board. But fundamentals will keep you on this one. Fundamentally sound. It's great. Investors are pouring in one after the other, because that's what they'd have to do to keep the train alive. But this is also why Tesla's a great example for this, because the stock market is a popularity contest.
Yes.
Because you can have the cool stuff in the world. If no one knows about it, no one's going to buy it. But Elon keeps the Twitter rolling, and love him or hate him, like, you know who he is. Like, and if you like him, you're probably buying it. Bitcoin, it got the I call it the iPod of everything, because remember when MP3 players were out, they were all called iPods, and then everybody found out there was like one iPod and the rest was just MP3 players. Like Apple, there's one Apple phone, there's 9,000 Android phones.
Correct.
That's a good point.
Just got the popularity contest win.
Absolutely, and it was the first mover in that industry. Thus, Bitcoin is used as the
Flagship
for the entire flagship. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and how do you determine what is a popularity contest versus something else? Again, are you just looking at the charts? It just runs up. I mean, Apple is a good product, debatable, I guess, like you said, but you can't deny that they're everywhere and that everybody knows who they are. So do you look at anything past that, or is it just that simple?
No, so everything I trade, I kind of get to take that element out, because I trade Tesla, Facebook. I don't trade Bitcoin, but I buy it. And it's because I do know the story behind it. When something interesting pops up, I do look into it. And that's kind of a determining factor of whether it stays in the conversation or not. Because if we're going to talk about just running up, HKD right here ran up. It did what everyone thought AMC was going to do. Started at $13 at IPO, and it ran to $2,600.
Wow.
If we go smaller, I think it did after hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, way up there. So if we're talking about just running, that could be a plenty of things. But all this was a lack of sellers and a bunch of buyers. Now there's hype. Who's my pool of buyers in this one's momentum traders. People that saw that this was on Facebook. Everyone was talking about this one for a short period of time. And then, like a game of hot potato, they all got out because everyone knew what this was. It was a pump and dump. Wasn't going to hang. So they started to sell. They started to take profit. They bought at 13. Why wouldn't you sell at $2,000? But then when everybody does that, now there's a max exodus. So you can see just by in its action, characteristically, what changed here. Because this is a terrible chart to do it on, but characteristically, we're doing this. A green day at its best went to here. Then all of a sudden, we started just skipping hundreds just down the block. Like now, characteristically, something changed. And when you see, this is a very exaggerated point, but when you see moves like this, that's when I know to go check the news. Because one, if you see something like this on Tesla, the S&P, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, a catalyst is out. There's a news event, algos are trading that keywords, and now stop orders are starting to get hit, which is more, if I'm short and I have a stop order ahead, now I'm buying back to close, which just sends it in this spiral up or down. That's why they get exaggerated. It's why you get like dead cat bounces. Things got emotional. They got a little too far. They're going to rein back in emotions. People are going to take profit because if you bought here, your position is on the moon that you told everybody was going to the moon. Here it is. Time to take profit.
Right.
But yeah, and that's honestly where a lot of people fail is because they try to get in after the news. They're out there scouring the news. They got the best subscriptions. They're paying everybody they can. They got 19,000 of them to know when that news comes out. The fastest a human can know when it comes out. But there's algos that are already trading that, high frequency traders that are scanning keywords. You're not going to beat them.
Gotcha.
Why worry? I'll be in the play. I'll have already known about that. And my money's already made before I even worry about the news. Because I know I can't beat them, so I don't waste the brain power trying to. You're not looking in the right place.
And I think that's the important thing that we all bring up involved in this conversation, Lord Fenrir, Tamp, and Don, is if you're getting into trading, understand what you're trading. So have those fundamentals. So when scammy news comes out or a pump and dump occurs, just because you're seeing it going to the moon, you're buying it because we're going to the moon without realizing, like it happened with AMC and the last Bed Bath and Beyond too, where even the COO, wasn't it, committed suicide.
CFO.
Yeah, that was a CFO that did that.
Right. So it's very important that you also understand what you're stepping into, besides just the technicals of the chart.
Sure.
So when you see a pump, okay, this is not true.
Yeah. And just to clarify one more thing for me, Don, because we're kind of speaking broad here. What makes an actual candle versus a wick? Why does something stay thick in the green, for instance, than just wick to the green? Why do we even have wicks? What do they represent versus the body of the candle?
So in everything I'll ever explain, there's a heads and tails. So the head side is a sign of what's to come. And then the tail side is a sign of rejection. Most of the time, wicks are a sign of rejection because let's just look at this wick right here, this green wick. So price went that high. A transaction had to be made at 43.57 to put that buy order there. Now, inside of this week, it pushed all the way up. Some sellers came right around here, came all the way back down. So sellers pushed it right back down. The speed at which they do that usually determines if it's a wick or not. So because candle opened here, candle closed here, inside of that, we had some price action, push it all the way up, all the way back down. So sign of rejection. Some people look at that like, hey, that's a sign of what's to come because obviously someone thought it was worth that. Someone thought it was there. Price got to that point, but somebody had a sell order up here, which we can investigate here in a little bit. So we know the absolute peaks. This is one I would do supply and demand stocks. We're going to grab the absolute peaks here. We're going to jump into a smaller time frame because we're on the weekly right now, and we can fine tune this. So we know Winnie the Pooh and all his friends, they're hanging out right there.
Okay.
They can't wait to sell.
They're stuck.
Yeah, in this order right here, see this. Okay. This looks interesting. The fact that it dipped down and came right back up. I bet we'll find some conflicting stuff right inside here. The way that just flashed right through there and came soaring right back up when this was already clearly a resistance area right here, blasted through that. So I don't know if this was emotion or what drove this here.
A lot of that is going to be the Luna crash.
Okay. Well,
everything was soaring when Luna was soaring because this is not Luna, but it was on the same blockchain. Cosmos hosts Atom, which you're looking at now. They also hosted Luna and still do.
So Luna is the back
So-
end, by the way, Tim.
Yeah,
That last red cliff.
yeah, that's what you're
That's
going to be
Luna time
seeing.
frame.
Some of that is.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
time.
Interesting.
But while Luna was running, that's the big, huge blast off that you were talking about in the green. Is when Luna was running and everything was amazing, and by default, people were buying Atom because that's the platform Luna sat on top of. And then when Luna crashed, Atom actually did a really good job. A lot of people who didn't understand the fundamentals, which is why I asked you about it, they sold off because they're in it just for the money. But people who understood that Atom was basically untouched, absolutely actually untouched outside of price by the Luna crash. And then people are saying, wow, that's rather robust, and continue to buy in it. That's why I asked about fundamentals, which Lord Fenrir did mention even before this comment, that when trading crypto, you should, or, do look at the team and underlying fundamentals. Cause that's what I was asking, if you charted it different, because there is, I think, a bit of difference between just pure stocks as we know it, US stocks versus crypto. I get that the charts look the same. It's a bunch of red and green and zones, but is the information you take in the two completely different financial areas, is that information any different, and kind of why or why not? And you explain that.
Yeah, because how I would attack that would be, who are my buyers and sellers? Like right now, I know Jerome Powell's not buying this. We're not going to find out Pelosi bought Atom.
Correct.
So I would argue it is a bunch of, I'll call them crypto nerds and retail, right? Because crypto nerd like you.
Yeah.
That's not,
Hey.
people don't get offended by that, do they?
It's what it is.
Okay.
You do, you're snowflake, and like everybody says, no, hell, like
Okay.
you're
Lost your
normal.
money.
Yeah, exactly. You've never been made fun of in your life and laughed. I'm sorry.
You didn't go to school.
You're very sad.
You were homeschooled.
Yeah. In a perfect world, everyone knows the team, they know the fundamentals, and everyone's fine. But there's a lot of people that don't. They know Tampa. I know you're a crypto nerd. You said Atom, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do my due diligence, but we all know that's crap. And I'm just going to go buy it because I'm confident in yours. And then you tell me it's a cool team. So I'm in the mix of this little green can. I'm feeling good. Tam knows what she's talking about. So why do I need to do my research? So you'll still get that action. And that's why I say now I know retail traders are in here. And this is actually why I said this chart is crap compared to what I trade, because big money moves stuff around and they really show their cards first. If you just sit back and let them show you their hand, like where they're going.
So
go ahead.
Sorry, Don. So I wanted to take advantage that you have charts up, but I believe you already have it all drawn out with colors. But on what does the weekly for Bitcoin look like, and what does the monthly look like? And if you could explain that aspect. But I do see the colors there. I don't know if you want to, just from a basic standpoint, since we're into crypto and this is the grandpappy of them all.
Yeah. So weekly, we're just talking about, again, time frames. So it took a whole week for this candle to get made. I didn't find out that zone was going to hold until Friday, whenever this candle closes.
Sundays.
Sundays? Okay.
Okay.
So I guess what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we dropped down, held it. And next week went up, down. Ultimately, this zone's holding. So it's a higher time frame. So I have all my buyers that are watching weekly. There's a reason Bitcoin only has a monthly chart on there, because at that point you are getting into investing and you probably should know some fundamentals at that point. And people are trading differently. But when it comes to investing, they're not trading. They're worrying about price, which is why I think the VWAP is absolutely hilarious, because people love to trade at the VWAP, which is volume weighted average price. Like if I'm working at a trading firm, I don't want to go to my boss and tell him how excited I am that I bought above the average price everyone else did. Like, look at me, I'm doing fantastic. Like I want to tell him I bought below the average price everyone else did. So that's what I would try to do as an investing. Trading just a different manner. But weekly, I have everyone watching the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, the hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, the 8 hour, the daily. I have all those buyers and sellers. I'm taking all their information, all their opinions, because there could be 9,000, not that many, 9 million people trading the 1 minute time frame. If they all align, like that's a lot of buyers. But now I got those 9 million people on the 1 minute. I got the other 9 million people on the 4 hour that only watch the 4 hour. Now I'm 18 million strong as far as my buyers and sellers go. If I'm walking into a gymnasium with my little picnic table to sell some goods at a shop, or what are those? Not thrift shop. What is it?
Flea market.
Flea market. Yeah. I want I want it to be packed. I don't want to have to convince 4 guys that my product's the best. I want the best.
Yes.
And so now I can also, if I'm going to do any analytics, I know what they want. I know what out of that whole group, I get all their opinions. Hey, they like this. They like the shiny stuff on the table. They don't like that. And hang on.
Execute that trade.
Yeah.
Sell, Don, sell.
That's actually a buy real quick. 1 second.
All right,
No,
so
do it.
guys, Don, thank you so much for the basics. We'll let Don do this trade
Yeah,
immediately.
this is awesome because I have a whole bunch of questions for next week. You're going to come back next Friday and give us lesson 2.0 where we can kind of pick up where we left off?
Oh yeah. Let me go real quick. Finish one more. He'll be fast. I promise.
No, yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Do what
no
you got to
worries.
do.
I'm gonna
But
buy it.
I
We
like
do
that.
have-
Buying only takes 2 seconds because I do all my planning at night. When that alert goes off, I just open my app and click the buy button.
Excellent.
So
Well,
like that's why I can golf all day. If I don't get any alerts and all my stops didn't hit, I'm just soaring, so it doesn't matter.
Keep going. Absolutely.
I don't stare at charts all day. God, that's mind numbing. I don't know how people do that.
Agreed. You lose your life, you lose everything with it, including your sanity, because you just can't let it go. So thus I look at the high time frames with these levels that you look at, Don, so I can focus on other things. So let's focus on one of our guests that has been with us ever since inception of Decentralized TV, DCTV. And this is, we got another one to join us in the conversation with whom he is familiar with. So what we're shifting into at this very moment are NFTs, which are subjects that we had brought up in the past. And this is where our specialty is, which is the crypto world. So I bring you, let me show you first
fight card.
the fight card. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. We have Indo Crypto coming into the stream.
Mr. Jonathan Ramirez.
Mr. Jonathan Ramirez. And by the way, you are muted just in case you are saying hello.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And someone you've been working with who comes into the challenge to end the conversation, which you
What
know
up?
very well.
What's up, bro?
Well,
What's up, Indo?
How you doing, man?
Man, glad to be alive.
Beautiful.
Hey, every day, baby, every day. And interesting times to be alive, honestly. Just,
Yeah, man,
just
we
with
building.
everything.
Absolutely. And if you guys remember a few weeks back, or man, time flies. I don't know how much time went by, but we've been building in the shade, and the Data Lord's been involved in that construction of our NFT platform, which was triggered and encouraged by our own Simon Oxley, who created the first Twitter bird. So we're forced to go to market very early before we were ready to deploy, which was very interesting. And Indo kind of witnessed the entire event. So we'd love to dive in there into this subject, besides you, Indo Crypto. So let's start with who the hell are you and how the hell are you sitting here in front of us at this moment?
So, yeah, my name is Jonathan Ramirez, and I got into crypto back in 2014. Honestly, at the time, I was living in Colorado, and I was working in the marijuana industry, well, medical marijuana industry at the time. And the buzzword about Bitcoin started off, you know, and just everybody was talking about it. And I knew Bitcoin from the Silk Road, not personal dealings, but just from friends who dealt with it. But so I found it, interesting, and I looked into it, and lo and behold, 2014, I just started diving into, which now looking back, I wish I would have held on to all that Bitcoin and not traded for altcoins. So yeah, stings a little bit, but it's all right. It's all right. We live and learn.
Don't drive yourself nuts with the shoulda, woulda, couldas.
We've all
the
been
Bitcoin,
there.
yeah, the Bitcoin maxis are losing their mind right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
We all have
Yeah.
to learn our own ways, man.
definitely. But
Sam, at some point you got to talk about that deep, all the pain stories.
oh yeah, we'll definitely have to hear that because yeah, there's plenty out there. I mean, even with the people that I was working with at the time, I mean, I talked to them maybe like a year ago, and they were just in pain because these are people who were telling me to collect, and they were collecting but selling at the same time, and now they're just like hating themselves. But yeah, so I just around 2014 I started getting into it, and around I think 2015 is when I started really diving into like YouTube and just different channels and stuff, and that's when I came across Peter. And I mean, he jumped out to me. I mean, everything he spoke about made sense. And there's a difference with influencers when they're just talking to get viewers versus talking to actually help the community. And I felt the genuine words coming from Peter at the time, and I was hooked on. And I just it was the Bitcoin.pub days, and so I stuck on and went on for that ride. And once again, not shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't get on hold on the Doge train. So that was another missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. Lord Finrear says you can't feel as bad as a guy who bought a pizza for actually 10,000 Bitcoin.
That's insane.
Multiple
But
$1 million pizza at this point too. It was 2 large pizzas, but still, damn.
exactly.
That's a bit much though. That just stings. So
Yeah.
2020 hindsight. We even have a day in the crypto world, pizza day,
Bitcoin pizza day.
because it's so painful to think about how
is he on any kind of watch at all? Does anybody like check in on that guy? Like when he's just, like, done? Like,
Hope you're doing okay, man.
suicide
Well,
line
Yeah,
nowadays.
it is amazing double-edged sword though, because it's also known as the very first physical transaction of Bitcoin for a product, a real world product. So on one hand, it's amazing. It's like all the restaurants with their first $1 bill stapled up to the wall.
Yes.
And that's what that represented. So it's a massive undertaking in this thing we call Bitcoin, but shit, on the other side of the coin, that
Yeah, I mean, one part of it, almost validates like, no, this really is worth that money. And like those types of use cases really early on kind of bolstered its current price action, right? Because it shows like, no, this really truly has the utility that the white paper states it does, right? Like I can actually transact it for goods and services. So if, I don't know, you got to look at it both ways, I suppose. It's still sad.
Absolutely.
if you were going to staple that to the wall, though, you'd need 190 million staples to the wall. So
A staple wall.
Yeah.
It's
We'll
sweet.
just put it all in a jar and just put it on a shelf instead.
I'm
or
sure
the
you
trash. That's what he did. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Like that gentleman. I forget what state he's in, but he threw away his hard drive and now
Laptop.
he's got a whole team of like robotic dogs and like, I mean, he's about to go all out. He's just waiting for approval. And I mean, I think he says he's going to take like 10 years to sift through the landfill.
Yes.
So, I mean,
I think it's Staten Island.
Staten Island.
Yes, and he's having problems getting the permits to do it.
I would not care about your permit. I would not care. And if you came on, you were to be shot on site because I don't want anybody finding that thing before.
Right.
Exactly.
I think the problem of the permit is not so much letting you dig. It's we'll find Jimmy Hoffa and we'll find a lot of shit that happened in the city that we're not supposed to find.
Yeah.
So who knows?
For those
You're
that are confused, there's just a guy who has apparently hundreds of Bitcoin on a laptop that somehow got thrown away. Problem is he doesn't have his seed phrase, which again, not your seed, not your cheese. So he can't access his Bitcoin outside of that actual physical laptop where it is. So he's going through hell to try to find that laptop in a landfill somewhere in New York.
My guess is there's going to be a big freaking magnet on it because some dude was magnet fishing and lost it, and it's just going to be wrecked. Like,
Maybe.
Yeah, all the
Good
data
point.
sucked off of it. That would suck.
Good.
Yeah, how's he gonna recover that hard? I guess you can still recover it off the hard drive, but you can only recover data. How's it stored?
magnetic platter, and that's what I'm saying. If there's a big magnet on it, it's nuked. Like there's nothing there. But
That's what I'm saying. Like if he goes out fishing for that, like good luck. Like,
Exactly.
So he
It's-
actually has to fish without the magnetism, so he doesn't wipe his data he's after.
Yeah, he has to just hand by hand move things.
that's what I would be doing one by one. Every piece of trash, I would touch it because I would know that's not my laptop, and I'm just gonna move it to the next one.
I just hope it's not, at least if it's not in a bag, you could at least get the bags of who knows diapers or whatever, vomit. Get those out of the way and just look for the laptop. But if it's in a bag and you have to open every single bag because this might be the one that's so much worse. Oh,
But I mean, how paranoid would you feel if you went through every piece of trash, not the bags, didn't find your laptop?
Oh, God.
I'm going through the bags. I'm covering it just to be sure.
damn.
Emotionally scarred, bro. forever.
Moving on.
Yeah. So
Indo,
Fight
tell-
card.
Just buy the landfill. Just buy the landfill.
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Shit, at least
right.
you have methane to mine Bitcoin. Just mine Bitcoin with the
Hey.
methane. Like, make a little bit more while you look for your mother load. But
That's
moving on, Indo Crypto, tell us a little bit about your dealings now. You work with a team of people on NFTs, non-fungible tokens, that a lot of people in our audience either know something about, know nothing about. Go ahead and tell us how you're contributing to the space.
So back at the beginning of the year, I was getting a part of NFT projects and whatnot, and there was one, and I will say the name of Shiba Beast, that I was looking to get involved. And obviously I was fully aware of scams and rug pulls and all of that going on. So I was just very cautious, and at that time I had been messing with the blockchain, so I was somewhat versed in blockchain, and I started noticing a couple of weird dealings and just money movement and wallets being created, just kind of like held on standby. And at the time, I was looking around and I didn't see like there was really anybody going at it. It was more like individuals, until I came across Rug Pool Finder, which is now Rug Pool Finder. But essentially, it was Alice and Nick who had came together to start calling out these scammers and rug pools. And so I ended up contacting Nick and just showing him all of my findings, showing him the blockchain and just everything. And I mean, nail on the head. Lo and behold, that's I think it was like maybe a month or two later that after mint they ended up rugging. But nonetheless, I had detailed out the blockchain and just shown where the transactions moved and just ultimately where the ETH ended up moving out and getting cashed out. And I mean, they saw the passion of just I guess not, trying to bring some kind of justice, and just calling these people out for what they are. And so lo and behold, they offered me a spot with them, and I came together, and before you knew it, I'm like, within a week there was like 5 or 6 of us. And this wasn't even like a, I would say, like a paid job. It was more so like just a group of people that came together to really try to make a change, try to make a difference, try to help educate new adopters about the space and what to look out for. Because I mean, it's just like now today we see that it's just getting out of hand. I mean, I believe we've so far counted, I think, like $3.6 billion worth of fiat essentially have been scammed, I believe, just this past year. And so it's insane how much money is being funneled out by these scammers. So we just kept it together and kept going. And before we had people coming at us and wanting to support us and stuff. And I can't say who all, but I mean, we are definitely getting notice from governmental entities and just people that are aware of what's going on and maybe not understand actually blockchain NFTs fully, but they come to us, and we've been lucky enough to be able to help with some of these cases, which I'll mention one where it was I believe a Baller Ape NFT where they rugged 2.6 million. And back in March, I believe, but essentially, we were able to help, provide a bunch of information. I mean, the technology that we have acquired, blockchain technology, we're able to map out wallets. I mean, hundreds of wallets within seconds. And so that's a huge tool that's really helped us in today. Just because, back then, a couple of months ago, we were having to do it all, manually, going through each transaction and just mapping it out ourselves. So that really helped. And, we were able to gather all this evidence and honestly, even evidence on the founders themselves, even though they try not to dox. I mean, there's data everywhere on somebody. So even if you, put your name somewhere, it's just a matter of time before somebody makes the connections. And, when you have a group of people that are passionate about this and who are tired of the same shit happening, scam after scam after scam, we're going to come after you. And, it might not be everybody right now, but I do believe that, as we start knowing who these people are that are scamming, which a lot of them are big time influencers, that they're going to be held accountable. So, yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at, and moving forward.
You're an expert witness. If you ever get called to court, you're going to have to talk about how you found this, your roadmap of where the funds went and where you believe they are and everything else. You had to do that yet?
we joke about it that we're gonna have to one day go up in front of Congress and talk about it because once again, not to say too much, but Nick, he comes from a financial background, I believe a criminal financial background, so he's very well versed in that field. So he's actually had the pleasure of talking with, entire police forces. Just I believe 2 days ago, he spoke with a police force from a third world country. I can't remember exactly who it was, but essentially we were just updating them on, or he was updating them on what NFTs are, what scams are, what to look for, these nefarious actions, and just started introducing blockchain. And slowly and surely, they're going to start coming out with their own divisions to start, really diving into this, because, these scams do come predominantly from third world countries. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, in America or, in first world countries, but, so we're really trying, to spread this education out, and, hopefully we can better equip people. That way they don't fall for these scams.
So I guess the majority of the people who come to you, are they coming to you post rug pull, or do you find more people are coming to you before investing to either check something out and say,
validate.
hey, yeah, is this legit or not? Or I was thinking about maybe investing in this. Why don't you take a look at it? Are you seeing a shift of kind of post drama is now turning into preventative research, or what are you seeing?
I would honestly say slowly. It's getting to that. A couple of months ago, it was always post rug, but now we are seeing people coming into the community, into general chat, or if they don't want to come out into general chat, potentially if they might be involved in that project and don't want to get called out, because a lot of these scam projects will intimidate people in their own community and just bash them and actually get the whole community against them.
Yeah,
and it does take a huge mental toll.
Like, sorry to cut you off, but
sorry about that.
Yeah, even Craig Wright. This is a guy who claims that he is Satoshi
yes.
Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin, and everybody with half of a brain in the Bitcoin space knows that he's absolutely full of shit. But a big time influencer called him out, saying basically just that: you are not Satoshi, and this is why. And his reasons for calling him out were valid. Yeah. Well, Craig Wright went all the way to court and had to go through the whole process of an actual court. And Craig Wright was, even though his last name is Wright, he was actually
the W.
Yeah, with the W. He ended up having
wrong.
he ended up having to pay damages. Or he actually was awarded damages by the influencer who called him out as not being Satoshi. And that influencer had to pay him $1 in reparations. So that tells you how seriously the judge took it.
It means nothing.
Yeah, I bring that up because are you worried about this? If somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm looking at this project for whatever reason, and you, as a professional, somebody who could get on the stand as an expert witness, if you say, hey, this doesn't look good, are you guys worried about slander or anything like that, since the precedent's been set with the whole Craig Wright drama?
So I will say that we have lawyers on retainer. So that's a huge must and a huge plus. But also, we get ridiculed all the time. We have whole communities come in, and it's coordinated attacks that come in and say that we're flooding after we post something where we find on the blockchain. And once again, people have been in this space, understand this, that the blockchain does not lie. Right. It is what it is. It's just a copy. It's a receipt. Mm-hmm. So, we've been called out several times by communities, and honestly, I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe like 3 months later, they'll always come back and say, somewhat apologize and realize that, what we were putting out was actually factual. And again, because it's on the blockchain, we're not going to sit here and start fabricating stuff. We present the facts. And if the facts say, hey, your founder is actually receiving funds from a scam beforehand, most likely this is probably going to be a scam. And, there was one project, it was, I'm trying to think about it. Board Bunny. There we go. And the people, if anybody from Roku Finders in here, they understand what Board Bunny was about. And it was a huge project. A lot of influencers were involved in it. And we called it for what it was. And man, did we get the FUD. They came in and just called us jokers and whatnot. And lo and behold, bam, they rugged, I believe, like 2.5 million from the community and just walked away.
Good.
Now we have seen situations where, the founders will rug, but then they hand over the keys to the community. And then from there, the community starts to build upon the project. And from there, they move forward as a DAO and whatnot. They'll elect leaders, but we also offer services to help with that, to facilitate that process of unrugging your project. But so we have came across a couple of projects that's happened to, but it still doesn't give the means for founders to just run away with the money just because they think that the community is going to handle the project from then on.
Could you define for some of the watchers who might not be familiar what a rug pull is and why people have to keep a lookout for it and what you're really doing to remedy when this happens?
So a rug pull, the way we define rug pull is when the founders leave with all of the liquidity. They run away with the money. They pretty much just are they don't engage anymore with the community. They just ghosted. So to see, I guess, the red flags on that, I mean, you really want to look at the project, the utilities, see what the roadmap's about, and just really see whether or not is it a copy and paste of a previous project, really looking at the art, is it a derivative, or is it just honestly a copy and paste, because there are so many derivatives out there and just copy paste projects that ultimately end up in scams. So doing your due diligence is a must. Always do your own research. Keeping an eye out on the roadmap, and which we have seen a meta of projects, not necessarily coming out with the roadmap until they mint. Remember, we are the community and we are the ones spending our money. If you don't feel comfortable with something like that, don't invest. Don't invest because of the hype. And, like I guess 7 times out of 10, hyped projects end up being scams. So understanding, what is this project going to bring for the community? What's it going to provide for me? What are the utilities? And then on top of that, who are the founders? Is it just, a Discord name, a made up name, or do they have any links with them? Can you verify who they are, what their past is, what their past jobs were? Can they actually, fulfill this project? Which, you can't sit here and say because somebody, is a tattoo artist that they can't do an NFT project, or if, they're because they're a construction worker, they can't do an NFT. I mean, anybody can do an NFT project. It's just a matter of having that accountability and understanding that, in this community, in the NFT community and Web3 community, there is somewhat of a standard of communicating with your community. And that's something that a lot of these projects fail, is communicating with their community thoroughly and transparently.
Hey,
so
sorry about that. Can I communicate when you guys find a rug pull and announce to the world?
Or Bunny are anonymous, and you are a scam. We researched your NFT. You, sir, are FUD.
Turn it off.
From now on, can we do that from now on?
Yeah, I mean, sure enough.
Well,
Yeah,
I think the beauty of what you guys are doing, because most people think this is a crypto problem. No, rug pulls have existed even in the .com era. I mean,
sure.
Even that whole phrase is, I got a bridge to sell you. Well, it was when they were building the Brooklyn Bridge over to Brooklyn back then. Someone was selling the damn bridge that didn't have ownership to it. So rug pulls have existed forever. The fact that your community came together and you're part of Decentralized TV community also sharing that knowledge. And by the way, for the record, we'd love to have your partners or the founders, if they're willing, also speak to the entire community. So, because everyone should be aware of the dangers of crypto. And just like crypto is, trust but verify is a philosophy we should always live by. And that's exactly what you guys are doing.
Sure. So tell us how to find you. Tell us how to find your community again, the name of your company. If I need you to look at something or help me because I lost thousands. Where do we find you, sir?
Yes, our Discord is Rug Pull Finder. If you're in DCTV, you can just click on my my Discord name, and then I have the link there. But if not, I can provide that link. But yeah, we are Rug Pull Finder. I wish I could have dropped the link tree, but and we have ticketing services as far as, if you want to stay anonymous again and you want to report a rug, or if you see anything suspicious that, ultimately the project might not actually be a rug or anything of that nature, and you just want to know. We've had a lot of those where we look in and, you know, we check, we actually reach out to the like that. So I do want to make it clear that we do reach out to these projects and, you know, try to verify a lot of this information. And a lot of the times we just get the ticket closed and get kicked.
Yeah.
So we do try to verify, but just come on over to the Discord. You know, we're at the moment trying to be careful not to say too much, but we're looking to expand at the moment, and we're going to be growing. We're going to be making some big moves. We actually just dropped an NFT collection called the Bad Guys NFT, and that actually acts as a pass to access our beta DApp, where essentially you'll be able to look for rugs and be able to use some of our tools to actually verify fake accounts, fake Twitter accounts, you know, and just stuff like that. But
amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
That's
awesome.
pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's great. So if you want to find Indo Crypto, Jaime, Don, Brandon, myself, or Brad, definitely check out our Discord. From there, you can absolutely reach out to Indo Crypto and any questions you might have about NFTs or possible rugs or legitimate projects, which there are a number of those as well. So please go to themetify.co. We have our whole link tree there. Find us in our Discord, and we will be there with everybody else. I have learned a ton today, Indo. Thank you so much.
Before you hop off, though, are you guys looking for a position to talk to the people that come in and call you guys jokers or anything like that? Because I can respond to all of them.
Please. I mean, it's funny because, I mean, and I don't want to mention this project, but man, I mean, again, if you're coming from Rug Pool Finder, you'll understand who we're talking about. But man, we did have one project where it was like, I mean, this project blew up. I mean, the art is fantastic. The utility is fantastic. And, you know, we saw the nefarious actions on the blockchain. We called them out. And I mean, we had influencers coming in and calling FUD on us. And again, 3 or 4 months later, things came crashing down, and they came in, you know, and, you know, communicated with us. And we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, we told you so. We're going to be like, all right, let's rectify this. What can we do? The community got the keys. All right, let's move forward. Let's look towards the better, because I hope wholeheartedly that as we start uncovering who these scammers are, you know, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there has to be some kind of, you know, accountability held, because I mean, there's just so much money, you know, being funneled out. And
yeah, and then lives, families, savings, everything.
Yeah,
it's an important ill, societal ill that has to be controlled.
Well, keep fighting the good fight, doing that for us. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
much.
guys.
That's about it. Yeah, Don, thank you today, and Brandon, appreciate you as well. I learned something from Don. I learned something from Indo Crypto. Looking forward to it. Next week, we will be live at 9 a.m. Monday, so please join us. I'm looking forward to the weekend news, because there is a lot of it today as well, and we're going to be going over hopefully some things that kind of clarified themselves over the weekend. So looking forward to it. Have your coffee ready. Otherwise, everybody, enjoy your weekend.
And we starred the link on our chat. So if you want to join and find Indo Crypto, you will find them in our Discord. So you can begin, and he can refer you to wherever you want to go, especially on the NFT side. And Don, we love the knowledge you share with us. Cool. Love you guys. Have a great weekend, everyone.
See y'all.
Thank y'all.
Boom, baby.
Cheers. Stacks